Hello and welcome to the TARHub Podcast, the show where four international friends come together to talk all about the amazing race. Whether this is your first time here or if you are a huge fan of ours, even though we've only filmed 2 episodes so far, we're so glad you're with us. We have a very exciting episode in store today. I think I can say that. Today we are putting on the weighty hats of casting directors and each assembling a season of all-stars. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. A total of 779 contestants have competed on The Amazing Race, and that's according to ChatGPT, so we can't take that as fact, but it sounds right. And so putting together a team of returnee casts is a very difficult task. We have each decided to lean into an unfinished business sort of type theme, and we're going to be picking compelling teams from more recent seasons that have only been on the show once before, teams that we believe truly deserve a second shot at the million. And then later on in future episodes, we might even discuss other theme ideas, for example, like a winners versus legends season. So this is how this will work. Each of us will pick a team of past racers, and in a roundtable discussion, we're each going to give impassioned pitches about why we think that team should open their mailbox one morning and find a ticket to the All-Stars. Then at the end of this episode, Dom, Jaden, Jade, and I will unveil our own complete All-Star cast lists. And as a mandatory disclaimer, please remember this is entirely subjective and based solely on our own humble opinions. I know that we could each fill a team of a season of 50 teams. So it was tough work, but somebody had to do it. Ready? Are we all ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm going to kick things off here with Kym Alli from season. Awesome team.
Good pick.
They're one of the strongest female teams on the race, I think, and they competed in a season of super strong, super competitive teams, and so but they held their own so well, and they were even cast on season 31 of The Amazing Race to be brought back. Dropped at the last minute. I think they could have made a great addition, but I think they deserve a second shot.
I didn't realize that about 31, that fact, but I would love to see them back. They're actually one of my top teams as well. I love to see a strong female team, and I felt like they were competitive and they had a little drama too, which I always like.
They did. Yeah, and their elimination was so iconic.
What an episode.
Surfing fast forward challenge against professional surfers.
I will throw into the ring Brook and Claire.
Ooh, nice.
I think a theme with my cast is I've gone very recent, but I think these two are one of the very few teams that I think it doesn't matter how long ago that it's been since the season aired. Like, they're pretty timeless. They had probably the most viral Amazing Race moment ever, and I don't think it matters how long it's been. They should come back.
They had a viral moment. I don't remember it.
The people that I know that have never seen Amazing Race, a lot of people have seen the watermelon clip.
Of course, yeah.
And I just love. Is it Claire's the blonde? No, Brooke's the blonde one, right? And Claire's the brunette. I think it's Brook that says they don't call it Amazing Race for nothing, because she's like, I can't even see straight, and so I just remember that very vividly, them pushing through, and a fun team too, not just, I think that they truly had fun from what I recall. It's been a while since I've seen that season, but I remember them in the finale just having a good time.
Colin and Kristi came back in 31 after a huge break, and let's face it, it's because they had the massive, the myoxis broken moment.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil and Elise and Bertram did that very recent clip, and Phil brought up, I heard them say myoxis broken. They brought up about the cheese, which is also iconic, and then obviously the watermelon, which is probably the biggest viral moment. So yeah, I can definitely see them easily being someone that they go, okay, we want them back, and they can finally come back. I think they've been asked back multiple times, but one of them was pregnant at different times, different returnee seasons. So yeah, I can easily see them being back.
I'll go next. So I have Adam and Bethany on my list from also season 25.
Yes,
and
great
I think
team.
It might be appropriate if they had Kym and Alli. We had Ethan's pick and my pick, seeing that they went out.
Oh, that's right.
That Kym and Alli went out in the fast forward against
And
professional surfers. But
they do love having those storylines, don't they? Like when they're introducing the teams in an all-star season, they love to sort of have like a connection to a team they've.
Right. Well, that's also a theory why they brought back Art and JJ for season 31 is because of that dichotomy with Rachel and Alyssa. Or
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and if Art and JJ had continued on, then they're hoping that more of that would happen. But yeah, Adam and Bethany are a great choice.
Yeah. Just a really inspirational story. You know, I always am a sucker for those stories, and just Bethany's story of pushing through. And there were multiple times on that season that they were all impressed by what she could do with some of those physical challenges.
Shall I go next?
Yes,
that's a good idea.
It's almost like we pre-planned it. No, totally fluid. So I'm next, and the team I would pick would be Justin and Diana. It's been a while since they've raced, but Justin's obviously been very active in the fan community and in the race community, and also everybody loves a team that is a little bit controversial. I'm not going to pretend that everybody loves them, but I think that Justin leans into that, and he knows that, and therefore I think they're a really interesting team to watch. He's not afraid to say something that's a little bit controversial, and therefore, you know, there's a bit of friction sometimes amongst them and the other teams that we saw in their original season. And also, obviously, that, you know, if you look at the stats, they are one of the best teams to race in terms of how many first places they got. So it would be great, I think, to see them back. It's long overdue. I think they also were meant to be, or they were asked for 31, and they were sort of in the process of preparing when Diana found out she was pregnant. So
that's right.
Yeah, another team that I could easily see back.
Yeah. Team
I agree
Green.
with everything. They're in my list as well, and I think. I think again they'd. I'm sure CBS will try again to get them back.
I think they'd be a great team. Again, they bring. Not that I'm all about drama, but I do think that there is something. I mean, personally, I love to watch teams that are inspirational and all get along, but I also like to have it's TV. I like a little competitiveness and little gameplay. So I'd like to see them back for sure.
I think the best.
It's interesting to see what new tricks they've got up their sleeve this time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think the best seasons for me have a balance of everything. I personally, and some people are different. It's always on TARHub. It makes me laugh how different people's opinions are, even amongst super fans. How different the opinions are. But I think seasons that have a few that, you know, there's some that are more strategic, some that are a little bit, you know, snarky, and then some that are really inspirational and some that are really positive. I think it's good, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Everything.
And you gotta love when a super fan actually gets on, you know. And he stayed very involved in the Amazing Race community, which I love too. So.
Yeah.
They need a second shot for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Well, my next pick are going to be the Blonde Bandits from season 32.
Love them.
They were great, and they had such a positive attitude throughout all the legs that they raced in. They weren't the strongest team. They did make some mistakes along the way, but I think everybody loved them and their personalities and what they brought. And it was pretty clear that they were sort of hunted down by the Mine 5 Alliance and on the very first mega lake in Amazing Race history. And they were given 2 yields, and they just couldn't catch up to the rest of the pack and went out because of it.
I have to watch that season again. For some reason I remember them, but they don't stick in my head as much. But you guys seem like you feel like they're a good choice to bring back. So I might have to go rewatch and.
Yeah, they didn't make my list. I think that I feel like if this was like 2 seasons after 32, I think they'd have a really good shot. Mm-hmm. But I think with these all-star casts, they really do lean towards like the last 2 or 3 years, and so for that reason I couldn't include them in my list. But yeah, super memorable. It's just I think time's just not on their side in terms of how long ago 32 was now.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point.
I just love an underdog team, and they definitely were that. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, you know, them plus who was that on the Arun and Natalia. You know, they're the reasons there's not non-eliminations anymore. I mean, I don't know if it's quite as cut and dry as that, but I definitely remember rooting for them, and they were one of my favourite teams from 32. So yeah, they're often on my long list. I don't know whether I always, as Dom says, they quite make the short list, but they're definitely a team that I really liked, and I can see them in the mix.
And that's quite a list, Jaden, as we know. It's like a list of, right?
It's like the Magna Carta. It was so long.
Yeah, that's
spent days trimming that down.
That's right. I still struggle to this day. I've got the long list if anyone wants to subscribe to my $50 a month Patreon. No, I'm kidding.
It's only about 600 of the 700.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I got rid of Matt and Anna. What are you talking about?
That's good.
Oh.
All right. Well, Dom,
are we back to me?
Back to you.
I'm gonna, on my list are Lewis and Michelle from season 34. Funnily enough, they're our team of the day on TARHub today. And
I noticed that.
I'm just going to repeat what I said there, but yeah, I loved watching these two race, but love everything they've done for the Amazing Race community since then as well. They were hilarious on the race, and they've got probably the funniest podcast around.
I
would love to see these two back again.
Yeah, I still remember. I mean, they even shared their clip on this past season, right, of them with the driving the car, the stick shift, trying to reverse it. And I again love a team that is laughing through it all. Like, that's a very stressful moment. You got a bus coming at you, you're stuck in the middle of the road, and yet they're laughing it off versus like totally biting your spouse's head off, which is probably what we might do if I went with my husband. So.
Oh yeah, they're so strong and just super bubbly, and brought such a great joy to the race. And like you said, I love how active they've been in the Amazing Race community since, and they just have so much energy, and very incredibly memorable team for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny. I after I first watched, I mean, it's only 3 years ago. I probably didn't have them on my short list from that season. That season actually has quite a few other teams that
it does.
I was like, oh, they could come back for sure. And some that even went out relatively early, I sort of was going, well, no, I think that they could. But on a rewatch that I did 6 months ago, I sort of was like, why was I not more hot on them? Like, there was lots of hilarious moments, as you say, the one in Italy with the bus. Trying to get out of the way of that bus.
Yes.
Lots of really great moments, and add on top of that the amazing stuff they do with the community, their cricketer chat. I'd love to see them race again. Yeah.
I think that's the interesting thing about the race too, and why I can go back and rewatch season after season after I've seen it multiple times. And I don't know if you find this, is that depending on where I'm at in my life, certain teams stand out to me more, right? So if now I'm married, I'm going to notice the married couple more. But, when I was single, I don't know, and I was hanging out with my best friends more, maybe I would notice those teams. So depending on, now I'm getting older, I'm like, oh, now I'm noticing the strong, older mom and dad teams. So I think that's the great thing about the race, is you don't always remember all the teams. And then you can go back and go, oh, they do stand out to me. They were a great team.
Yeah. And to your point, Jaden, I recently watched some episodes from season 34, and there are so many great standout teams on that season that it would be almost interesting to see those teams run again in a non-COVID season and see how that fares, because there's so many great personalities. Even the winners, Derek and Claire, like super memorable, and then I have 3 season 34 teams on my final cast list, because it's hard to narrow it down more than that.
Yeah.
So I'm up next. I have from season 29, Matt and Redmond. So this was an interesting season. I know we talked a little bit about it our last podcast. I know Dom likes the Stranger season. Not everyone likes it, but I thought it was a really cool way to do it at the start line, pick your partner. You don't know what you're going to get. I love Redmond's story. They went out right before the final 3, and it was because they took, I think all the other teams took a taxi and they took the train, and then they ended up taking a taxi after they gathered their clue, and that taxi driver took them in the wrong direction. They got lost, and I think it just set them too far behind. But I think they're both a strong team. I again love Redmond's story and everything he's gone through. And I don't know if you follow him on any of the social media sites, but I just really think he's very inspirational.
And I think for an all-star season, I would like to have some representation from season 29, because it's such a sort of a standout season in a way. It's unique, very unique. And we've already had Becca and Floyd on season 31. So I think bringing another team to have a little bit of maybe a different perspective from 29 would be great. But I really think that needs to be included, because it's, it was a good season. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It'd be cool when they're doing all the team intros to have some sort of nod to the Stranger season. And I think you're right. If they had to pick a team from there, I think it would probably be these guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm next, and I think it's an abomination that I'm the only one that has them on my list.
They're on my
should be, taken to the tower. Out of Towners, the team Out of Towners from season 36. No, hang on, it's 35, but it filmed as 36. Sorry, I always get that wrong.
Me too.
So 35 is how it aired, but Andrea and Malaina, they are amazing. Andrea is part of our TARHub community. Love having her as part of it. She always brings great energy. And they're just a really fun team. Again, I've missed the 20s. I was thinking before, I hadn't watched like 27 and some of the other 20s in quite a while, but I went and rewatched, funnily enough, the 30s again recently, and this season was better than when I first watched it. I think sometimes on a binge watch rather than watching week to week, it's quite good to do that, and I really loved this team and their energy, and I quite liked some of the moments, like when Annalie was asking, who they voted for. Did you vote for us? And Andrea was like, no. Meanwhile, that she had. And also, if we're doing an unfinished business type of season, you've also got to look at what their elimination stories are.
Yes.
And they have one of the most iconic, certainly in the last 2 or 3 years. With the whole business, with getting some euros and turning up at a medieval castle and realizing they don't have euros. So, I think they're a great team.
Yeah. And it just sticks in my head. It's I have other friends that, again, aren't as crazy of a super fan as, say, maybe we are, but that's one thing that they'd always talk about. Out-of-towners, what do you think about the out-of-towners? It just was very memorable. And again, they just brought that fun energy, which I do love to see.
Yeah, I was going to come back with, maybe an explanation of why they didn't make my list, but this might be the first one where your pitch is swaying me. I'm starting to regret not putting them on the list.
Got to do some last minute updates there.
Yeah.
If we do a version 2, how quickly can you update the slides?
Well, I'm sure we all had a new appreciation of what casting goes through as we're trying to, cut our list down. I'm like, okay, they have a very hard job. They have all their great teams that they're pitching, and each of them are bringing, different dynamics, and
I think
narrow it down.
I think it's fair to say to our millions of viewers that that I even had a difficulty because I had certain teams that would be probably classified as legends. I had quite a few winners that I'd like to see back, and that's why we prefaced at the start of this podcast that we're going to do a separate episode for winners and legends, because it was just too difficult, when you sort of go, what are they going for? Do they want all sort of unfinished business or second chance? So it's tricky. They don't have an easy job.
No.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, Andrew and Malaina were on my short list, and up till the very last minute when I took them out of. But when I was doing that, I was like, man, casting's going to have a tough job putting together an all-star season, because there's so many deserving teams, and like you said, they had, and one, I know I've mentioned before, one of the saddest eliminations, walking into that empty party, everybody gone, the balloons are on the floor.
Yeah.
Confetti strewn
I love how
around.
Malaina says, the party left without us.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Sponsored by Kleenex.
That's right.
Okay, well, I will go next, and my next pick is a team from season 34, and they are Glenda and Lumumba.
Love them.
Oh, they're so awesome, and they're great couple.
Yeah.
Great couple. There's such a amazing, relationship, and so joyful. There's so many times when you can just see them joking around, or even with Phil on the mat on their elimination. They're just laughing and enjoying the experience, and probably I would say what did them in is they in Jordan they chose the side of the U-turn, not U-turn, side of a detour where they were competing against all professional dancers, and they were the only non-dancing team there, and but they held their own. They did as well as they could, and then the next leg in France, they got lost in the back roads of France and reversed into a ditch, and car sticked up the Titanic, going down into the water. And it's probably one of the only times in the Amazing Race where we've actually seen like security come over, and the camera crew was sort of crawling out of the car, and they got on their way. A farmer helped them. They got on their way again, and they completed the leg. But I think they need a second chance, an unfinished business team, and I need a baby boom boom update.
Yeah. No, that's right. Did they have? Do you know? Does anyone know?
They did.
They did. Okay.
They did. A little girl.
Yeah. Good for them. Yeah. Congratulations to them. Yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love them. And as you say, again, the only thing I'll throw in is that, again, if production were looking at doing a sort of unfinished business 2.0 and looking at stories, I mean, what better than a team that drove into a ditch? I mean, it's a pretty iconic moment from the last couple of seasons.
Not that we're suggesting that to future teams.
No, don't drive into a ditch.
You never know. It might be worth it. Yeah.
But it does make for great TV, so yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, my third team that I'm going to add to the list. I'm going to add Rod and Leticia from season 36.
Another Team Orange.
Super fun team. Super strong team. I think they won most of the legs that Ricky and Cesar didn't win. Yeah. And yeah, they were just great TV, whether they were smashing through tasks or getting lost, or even just for Rod's one-liners. I'd love to see them back again for a second chance.
Yeah.
That bit when they got lost in I think it was Santiago, and they were having a little bit of back and forth on the side of a road. It was just hilarious, very relatable. Everyone's been like, no, we're not doing this right. They were a fun team, and as you say, Rod was very quotable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how many episode titles he got, but he should have had most of them.
Got a few.
There are some great teams on season 36, and even though it was more of a truncated season, like there's some awesome moments we had. And to me, they're personally probably not the most super memorable team on that season, but I love them. I love their personality and their strength that they brought to the challenges, and I think they're a good pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good one. All right, am I up next? Let's see. I've got from season 30, Kristi and Jen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Team Extreme, right? Was their nickname, and they made it to the finale. That was a hard loss, I think, from Jen for a couple seasons. Was doing the Racers recap, I know, with Justin, and she's talked about what a hard, coming in, being so close to the finish line and not being able to pull it off. But I don't know the exact stats. You might know Jaden or Dom, but I know that they had a lot of top 3 finishes from what I recall. And I think we are way overdue to see a female team come in first. And so I want to put a strong female team. I think they went about it too in the race with the right attitude. They got through those tasks and did them well.
Yeah, they're iconic. I mean, a lot of the fan community on TARHub, they're always bringing them up, and I know that a lot of people would be thrilled to see them back. And as you say, I think they are, I think they're probably the strongest all-female team we've ever had on the race. They only ever placed in the top 3 when they were racing together in season 30. And I think that speaks for itself. You know, they were always in the top 3. So
that's an impressive stat.
Yeah, that final leg was, it was hard to watch.
I rewatched it recently just because I was like, how did it play out again? And that finish line being so close. I know we're not talking about that season, but it was like right there. You could, that would have been brutal just knowing that you could hear them coming, the first place team. There was no chance that, they were going to get lost because the finish line was right there, which is such a bummer. So,
they
I don't know if it'll be like something that they'll like strive to with this cast. If they do want some really strong female teams. I mean, we've had a lot of male teams win in the last few seasons, so that might be on their minds. And if they do think that they want to sort of give the female teams a better shot, I think these girls are going to be the first on the list.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sure.
And I don't know about you, but in my long list, my massive long list, I do have more all-female teams than all-male. That might just be my bias, but I think it is the fact that we have had a lot of really, really great, memorable all-female teams over the last, 10 seasons. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
great
next.
picks. I love them.
I'm next, and I'm going to throw out for your consideration. I don't want an Emmy, but for your consideration, Angie and Danny from season 36, which filmed as 35.
Team Walla Walla.
Team Walla Walla. Danny is part of our, actually, no, they're both part of our community. Danny, perhaps slightly more active, but Mama B is part of the TARHub community as well. And they're probably, I think it would be fair to say they're the team that from that season most people would say deserve to come back, not just because they were a really fun team to watch. Their dynamic was really good fun, and also we haven't had a mother and son on for quite a long time, up until that point. But also, obviously, again, I'll just bring it up. If it's an unfinished business season, the way that their elimination unfolded was pretty divisive, shall we say, and certainly there was some chatter in the fan community. I think TARHub had just started around that time, and there was a lot of people saying what the naughty word is going on with that elimination. It was really gutting, just seeing them sitting in their car, like, it was hard. So they deserve it.
I don't know about you guys, but when it was super hard cutting it down to 14, the list. But I always had like a core 4, 5, or 6 teams that were like first names on the list, and these guys were on every draft of my list. I think they're pretty recent, super memorable, really fun, and as you said, a really iconic elimination as well.
I know. I'm sorry, Danny and Angie, I didn't have you on my list, but I think I had them on my longer list. But I'm looking, I'm like, I think all of you might have wanted to see them back. I'm like, I'm sorry, they are a good team. So now you're making me reevaluate. Maybe I need to have them on my list.
That's all right. That's what we're here for. No, I had them on my list, and like you said, it was just undeniable that they had to come back because of how they went out. If they didn't maybe go out in such a memorable way, then maybe it would have been a little sort of tougher to include them because there's so many amazing teams. But the way they went out, I think they absolutely deserve a chance. And on a COVID season too. Well, my next pick are the Twinnies.
Yay.
Not
the
those
new
Twinnies.
Twinnies.
Twinnies 2.0. Emily and Molly. I just love them as a team, and then again another season 34 team. But they were adopted from South Korea by separate families. They only reunited less than a year before running the race together. But they were even still sort of discovering things about each other on the race. But they just had such a strong bond as siblings, and such a great connection, and just really people were drawn to them, watching them. when I believe it was it Emily or Molly that hurt her knee on it was Emily that hurt her knee on a few episodes before the finale, and then that they just sort of fell down the order, and they were really strong in the finale, but they just couldn't. It was that injury that sort of held them back. They had a real shot at winning, I think, and I think they deserve a second chance.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, just to throw in something from the sort of TARHub perspective, where we sort of follow around the teams as the race is being filmed. There was a hilarious thing where I think the last time we saw them in either video or photos was in Florence, which was leg 3, and then I think it was at the airport in Nashville. Suddenly they showed up. Everyone thought they'd been eliminated in like 9th place or 10th place, and then suddenly they showed up in the final leg, and they were like, no, they're racing. They're not just there as like decoys, or if they're there as one of the eliminated teams, they were racing in the final 3. So that was definitely one of the funniest moments from a sort of TARHub perspective. But I also agree with you. I mean, they're a quieter team. They don't bicker a lot. I mean, there was some really great moments with them with the self-driving, with moments of self-doubt. But I agree with you. I think they're a team that you can't deny a lot of people loved watching them, and I was one of them. So I'd love to see them come back.
And I think I'd like to see them come back and see how their relationship has developed now that they've gotten to know each other more and become closer. I'd like to sort of see how things have progressed and that new dynamic from them.
Yeah, because they really were just still trying to get to know one another. That was like the most time they probably really spent with one another.
It was
in a situation like this. So yeah, for sure, that would be interesting to see them back and see that dynamic.
Okay, I am going to add our first season 37 team. I'm going to add Jonathan and Anna. I don't know what more needs to be said. I think they're a pretty obvious choice. I think they've got to be the first on the list. And I think the only reason is that they won't appear in 40 if it is an all-star season is if they don't want to do it. I wouldn't necessarily blame them if they didn't want to do it again. But they made pretty incredible TV. The editors clearly agreed because it was basically the Jonathan and Anna show, like every episode. So I think they're a lock.
I would like to see them come back and see. I don't know how much of their podcast that any of you have watched, but I know that they've seen things. You don't realize till you're put in a situation like this how you're necessarily going to respond with that adrenaline and that stress. And I think Jonathan realized some things as well as what he's come out and said. And so I think it could be kind of like a Colin and Kristi. I mean, that was many years later that Colin and Kristi came back, but where they really work on themselves and learn the tools that you need to get through these stressful situations and be more successful. So I'd like to see that.
It's funny because I was trying to understand why I found it more difficult, because I love teams that bicker. I love Terry and Ian. They're one of my favorite teams. And I did also like Colin and Kristi in season 5. I mean, no one can deny that Colin wasn't capable of being, a little Napoleon, shall we say politely, but I was trying to think, why is it trickier? And I do think it was because as much as it really, I think, worked for them, it meant that they were able to make it so far. Anna never ever bit back, and I think that's probably the only reason in the edit, or why I sort of found it a little bit trickier, is because there wasn't a bit of back and forth. Like, for example, with Terry and Ian, there's no denying that even though Ian was capable of being quite, direct to his wife, Terry would always bite back in both seasons. And so I sort of found that easier to watch than this one. But in saying that, you can't deny that they were a really compelling team to watch. And there were also really lovely moments throughout, just to remind us that, there's a real human being in there with flaws, but also with, a good heart as well. He definitely had some moments of supporting his wife. So I agree. I'd love to see them come back, and I don't see any way that they wouldn't be asked.
Mm-hmm.
When Anna came back from one of the scrambles and Jonathan was consoling her when she had sort of fallen behind there. I think they're definitely probably are one of the standout teams. There's so many amazing teams on season 37, but they are one of the standouts. I only have one season 37 team pick because it's just so hard to, narrow it down. But if Jonathan and Anna came back, I think that would be a good choice.
Yeah. I didn't have Jonathan and Anna on my list, but the next person I'm going to mention, or couple that I'm going to mention, is Scott and Lori. And now that we're talking about Jonathan and Anna, I think it just would be perfect to have Scott and Lori as well, seeing that these two teams went up against one another in 37. And unfortunately, it was Scott and Lori that were taken out by the U-turn. So I would like to see now both these teams. You convinced me with Jonathan and Anna. I'd like to see Scott and Lori. I'm probably biased because I feel like Scott is very involved on the TARHub, and he brought all of us together. So I'm probably being a little biased, but right from the beginning, even before I got to know them, they stood out to me. I think being the parent team, I don't have nearly that many kids, but they're just a team that stood out, and I think that I want to see what else they can do. I think they went out way too early.
They did, and Lori wasn't afraid to speak her mind, which made great television. And they were really competitive. And again, if you're doing an unfinished business season, you need a team that has been U-turned out. And I think a bit like Amanda and Chris, but certainly I don't think Scott and Lori are quite as what the casting as much as perhaps Amanda and Chris were, because they were very memorable. And as much as, yes, you're right, probably we were all slightly biased. We love Scott and Lori on the TARHub server, but a lot of other people that I've seen both online and in TARHub, besides the four of us, were really rooting for them and want them to come back. I mean, the way they were eliminated with the live U-turn vote is pretty iconic and memorable, so I definitely see them being asked.
Yeah, I think on that point that we were saying earlier about creating storylines in a returnee season, I think there is a great storyline with them and the U-turn vote and Jonathan and Anna, and so that could definitely be, like, I could see that sort of being brought up in a returnee season.
And I mentioned earlier that 37 was sort of the Jonathan and Anna show, but if you look at the early episodes as well, Scott was like pretty much the unofficial narrator of the season. He was like. Like dictating all the tasks and everything, and they got a lot of screen time, especially from like that episode 2 to episode 5 stretch.
And obviously CBS liked him because they put him on Raid the Cage as well, and so I feel like they made a lasting impression for not being there as many legs as some of our other people on our list.
Right. And then them coming back to the race would bring in all those the huge Raid the Cage superfan community.
No, I'm not laughing.
Hey, my daughter, we watched it and we love game shows. So she was like, can we watch this one more? So it did bring us in because we had never seen it before. So
it just needed a slightly larger viewership. But anyway, it's all right.
Yeah.
The expenses to fly everyone to Mexico wasn't quite enough, obviously. But anyway. But there's a good segue here because Scott and Lori finished in 9th place, and this next team also finished in 9th place. And it's the same thing as Jade was saying. As much as they only lasted 5 legs, I do think they are quite memorable. They were from the season one season earlier, which is Kishori and Karishma. Season 36, and I mean they were featured. I think that same little montage, which funnily enough had Lewis and Michelle and Emily and Molly in it with the stick thing.
All Stars preview.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was just thinking that all 3 of these teams were featured in that little flashback clip. And when I was watching this again recently, Kishori and Karishma had so many hilarious one-liners. They obviously struggled a lot with the stick shift, which was sort of part of their undoing in leg 5, was just major troubles with even getting the car moving. So again, another iconic unfinished business sort of story where they couldn't drive the car. I
absolutely love Kishori and Karishma. I forgot that they were limited way down in 9th place, because to me they're such a standout team of 36. I just love their personalities and the way they interacted with each other, the little bantering that went on. And I mean, Karishma is now a hot air balloon DJ. So I mean, if that isn't an amazing race,
oh man, yeah, that's one of the craziest
personality, then
videos
what
I've
is?
seen.
Yeah, no, they were on my list from day one. Okay, my next pick are Rob and Corey from season 35. I think it's pretty safe to say that they're probably one of the most universally loved teams from The Amazing Race, and especially in more recent seasons. But they're such a standout team on a season of great teams as well. But I think that I love the way the father-son relationship, the personalities they had. Even Rob started crying when Corey was doing a roadblock, because he felt like it was like watching his son go play baseball, and they just had that really lovable father-son dynamic, but also very strong. Even though Rob has the disability, is that they sort of proved that didn't have to hold them back, and to the final leg. And I think what really why they came in 3rd place is because they sort of went the opposite way on the scramble in Seattle. The other two teams went another way, and because Rob and Corey went the other way, then they fell behind. But I think everybody would love to see them again.
Yeah, I as you say, that's another great unfinished business story where they sort of picked the wrong sort of way to go in that final leg. But I really loved, as much as, season 35, some people don't love the final 3. I won't sort of say any names, but on TARHub, I'd say this is the team that most people can get behind and say of that final 3, they'd love to see Rob and Corey back. And I also just noticed we don't have Steve and Leigh down, which I think is another travesty besides Andrea and Malaina.
They were on my alternate list. I had to cut it somewhere, but I would love to see.
I had 5 alternates, and Steve and Leigh were one of them.
Yeah.
And I thought they were on my list, so maybe they're certainly on my list of about 60 or 50.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're not. I'm just gonna throw a little.
I would hope they're on that list.
Yeah, everyone is. But honestly, I'm surprised that I didn't. Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have Steve and Leigh, because they're another team besides Rob and Corey that I could easily see production wanting back. Everybody remembers, Come On Dad. I think one of our users on TARHub is literally called Come On Dad, so it's a bit like Out of Towners. They're an iconic team as well. But sorry to hijack Rob and Corey thing. I also love Rob and Corey. They're an amazing team, and I can easily see them being invited back.
Yeah,
definitely. I'm going to add another season 37 team. I'm going to add Brett and Mark, who were a little under the radar to start with, which I think is to be expected. They were sort of placing in the middle, and you've got 14 teams to give airtime to. But they were super prominent in the U-turn vote, both at the mat beforehand and face to face with Scott and Laurie in leg 5. Fans love them. They were extremely strong. They won a few legs, and they just missed out on a few more as well. And yeah, we mentioned storylines, and I think that you could sort of I think you could have 37 be almost like the season 14 that Unfinished Business was, and just have there's so many little storylines with all these teams. I think it's super interesting to have them back alongside.
They're on my list.
37.
They're on my list too. They're just look at them. Look at that. Those smiles, or you can tell they're physically fit. And then I think too, I wanted to see more, because I think it was in the first episode, they said with their background that they're performers. And so I think you could see they bring the muscle and the strength, but also they do great at, the more of the artsy and dancing type challenges. So I think they've got a lot of skills that we probably didn't really get to see. I'd like to see more of them for sure.
Well, he managed to get Ernest through the roadblock, and
that's right.
So I think kudos to him. He was very patient with him, and for a guy that obviously wasn't as inclined with music and performance. And I think Dom's right. I mean, our next couple of ones, even after this, I'm noticing are all 37, and it is one of those seasons where, because there was so many surprises like the live U-turn vote, the double U-turn, a lot of teams that could easily come back. And as you say, there'd be little sort of storylines of teams that maybe went against each other because they were quite vocal against Scott and Laurie. It would be quite interesting to see, I think.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could suggest a returning season called Season 37 versus everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have to be.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it is the most recent season, but I just think they did a great job with casting this season. And so there are just a lot of great teams that you'd want to see back. So that takes us leading into the next one. I'll bring my last one on my list that I'll share is Pops and Jeff. And they also went out earlier than some of the others. I think I might be the only one that have them on my list. You guys might have had them on your longer list, but Pops was just, I love how charming he was, and those muscles. And I love a parent child team as well, and I felt like they were a strong team and they were fun to watch. Yeah,
I absolutely love these two. They're such genuine, classy guys as well. I really love them. And if they were on the next All-Star cast, I'd be thrilled. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Jeff Jr. is part of the TARHub community. We love having him part of our community, and I agree. I had them on my longer list, but not my shorter list. And the only reason, honestly, is because of Rob and Corey. They're both father and sons, and I sort of was going, well, Rob and Corey,
right?
Are they more? So that's where
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I can see why casting have a difficult time, because they want to have a balance of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have a balance of ages. They want to, strive for the 50% BIPOC. So they must have a tricky time. I must say, I agree. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Pops
Good
and Jeff.
point.
And again, going back to storylines, the way they went out on a foot race. I mean,
Yes.
that's so memorable. And so I could definitely see them come back again. They're great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well,
Well,
one team left.
My final
Two teams
one.
Oh, two teams. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
You're about to cut off your favorite, so that's no good. But...
yeah, I actually just wanted to get to my favorite, so I was jumping ahead.
Well, I will just quickly bring up, in that case, one of, again, as you say, season 37 had an amazing cast, so many great characters, and this team, I think, is one of a lot of people's favorites, and that is Han and Holden, who were very close to winning the whole thing. And I love an underdog story. I mean, they were so often making mistakes, a bit like the next team. I seem to be spoiling them quite a lot. But, another pair of siblings, anyway. But no, they were so much fun to watch, and I loved their dynamic, and I loved their, little disagreements and arguments, if you could call it that, and they were just a joy to watch. And also, again, said this like a broken record now, but if casting are looking for really memorable stories of how teams didn't quite take it out or didn't make it to the finale, then what better finale story than a team that literally had a car accident in the final leg, which set them back a good 45 minutes, apparently. I mean, so that definitely would not have helped. I just think they're a really cool team, and I'd love to see them come back and do it again.
Yeah, agreed. I didn't think about that you could imagine that being like the opening shot to their intro in the All-Star season, the car crash at the end. That's definitely a plus in their books.
Yeah, I love Han and Holden. I think they're one of the standout teams on a season of standouts. It'd be great to see them back again. Now, is this best for last? No, not best for last, but definitely a very, very
Even
good team.
I think so.
And another team from season 37. This is our final team, and they are Nick and Mike.
Yeah.
I would say my first point with Nick and Mike is, how can you have an all-star season and not have Phil's favorite team on the all-star?
Yeah.
They're so great. Everybody remembers them for, how they lost on a needle in a haystack challenge, literally, after they were double U-turned, and they spent over 4 hours trying to find the little bracelet in the hay. And but it's funny because I know I said it before in one of our previous episodes, but looking at them on the start line, you would think they're going to be one of the strongest teams. Super fans applied 7 times for the race. They went all the way to the top to production and sort of pled their case of why they should be on the race. They went through multiple casting processes, finally were cast. And you would think, looking at them, they're going to dominate, but they had some struggles. The race wasn't exactly what they expected it was going to be. The realities of it were different, but we saw them work together, trying to overcome that, trying to adapt. And I think it's surprising, to see that sort of different side of them and to see them see the different side of the race. And they should come back for sure on a returnee season.
Yeah, it's they're iconic. I just looking at my list and realized that maybe I didn't have them on it, which is very strange because I'm such a big advocate for the out of towners, and it's that sort of elimination. I mean, how can you not have a team that literally spent 4 or 5 hours out or more out in a field looking for whatever it was, I can't even remember now, but
bracelet.
Yeah, a tiny little bracelet. I mean, it was hilariously awful. And they were really iconic too. They were really funny in the fact that, as you say, they were constantly struggling and bickering, and they were a real surprise to me. I really enjoyed them, and so I don't know why they're not on my list. Maybe it's because you two are such strong advocates. So I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
Do we need to re-record this whole thing?
I think we do. Yep. Let's do the hour again.
Yeah, well, I think Phil, being that, he always brings them up in all the recent interviews too. I mean, and there was the one just posted on TARHub about, and the panel with Elise and Bertram, and once again, he brought them up, didn't he? So I think they have a good chance of coming back. I'd love to see him back. Enough said. That's all. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the teams we have. That was a lot of fun, and I think we all made some amazing picks. And I think the very least, we proved that it's going to be nearly impossible for the casting team to put together an all-star season. You only have between 12 and 14 slots, and we went with 14.
Right.
Incredible teams, incredible personalities, and I think it's going to be an incredible season when they do cast an all-star season. Hopefully, season 40. But now we all got to show our final casts. Who'd like to go first?
Jade.
You can fine. Although you may have convinced me on a few of them, so now I might have to. But that's the whole point, right? I imagine. I have no idea what casting's like, but do they all sit down in a room and make their pitches and then,
actually, what they do now is they watch the TARHub podcast to get inspiration.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, they don't need to do that. And just watch us, and then they'll be like, "This is who we're gonna cast based on TARHub." Thanks.
If they could just pick from this pool that we've just shown, I think that
makes it easy. Yeah,
pretty incredible.
Okay, well let's go with Jade anyway. You're first up.
All right. Yeah. I'm
That's
still pretty happy, and of course I left a couple blank spots for the future seasons coming too. So. We'll see. If there's no one that I absolutely feel strongly about, then, maybe I could throw Jonathan and Anna in there. You guys convinced me on that one, but I need to leave a couple open spots for 38 and 39 too.
Yeah. No, there's some great picks, and I like the season representation all the way back to season 25, the season just after the last true All-Stars.
Exactly.
I think you got some great personalities there that we'd see a lot of sort of storylines emerge from that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with Dom.
Okay. I think we all had different approaches to this, and we went backwards and forwards a number of times. So what are the rules? What are the restrictions for this cast? We all said that we go with 14 teams. Who knows if that's going to be the case? But we were kind of assuming that it's going to be season 40. So that's why we've kind of got these blank spaces at the bottom. Because obviously some of the teams are going to be from 38. But if you look historically, the casting for All Stars always seems to lean very heavily on like recent seasons, and so I sort of went with a cast that I thought would be more realistic than like necessarily my favorites. So that's why I've gone pretty heavy with season 37, season 36, with some legend teams thrown in there.
Some great picks.
I love that list, and yet I also sit there and I go, wait, but where's Brook and Claire? But then, as you say, well, it's just so difficult. It's so difficult.
It is. Well, let's see. I'll go next, I guess. Here we go. That's mine. When I was putting this together, I was sort of also trying to think of the dynamic between the teams and sort of to see that synergy between how they might react to each other, who might sort of pair up with who throughout the course of the race. And again, I wanted personally to have representation back to season 25, and I think Kym and Alli are a great pick. Adam and Bethany would be as well, but I just love Kym and Alli, and so it's just building that from there. And I know that probably the main criticism of my picks would be there's not enough teams from 37, and that's absolutely valid, but it's just so tough when you 14 slots, and I had to leave a couple slots open for future seasons. But I think if I had to pick one more team, it would be definitely from season 37, and I'd probably go with Han and Holden. But so many great choices.
Yeah, you have a good representation of multiple seasons there, which is nice to see. Unlike me, I had 4 from 37, but
But easily, I can see that being the case. I mean, as Dom said, there have been seasons in the past that, like 22 for 24 and 14 for first unfinished business, that had a lot of teams on it. So I can easily see that being the case. So it's tricky, isn't it? I love your list too.
There we go. And last but not least, we have Jaden's picks.
I have no idea why I picked any of them.
Oh, that's funny. But I love how we share.
Should we just post Jaden's list of 60 instead?
Sure. Yeah.
No, you've got to subscribe to my Patreon.
Yeah.
No, I love this. I love all of these teams. How many all female have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. How many all male have I got? Oh, not enough. Oh, definitely not enough. I've only got 1, haven't I? Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh no, yours is not balanced.
I'm definitely not balanced. I definitely need to have a couple. Well, come on, season 38. You need more male teams from there, and also where's Nick and Mike? I mean, obviously you'd have them in there. Yeah, so it's tricky. It's really tricky.
It's very tricky. But even though we share a lot of the same teams.
Exactly.
Yeah, we do, and I think if we do a winners/legends season, I think that I will have a better representation, because there are, like, I won't go into it, but there would be a team from 32. There would be, I think there would be more. I probably would put, there would be more teams that I would pull from to represent more of the seasons, I think.
Yeah, and it's tricky, because if they do 40 as like a big sort of celebration of, of the race, then I can easily see them bringing back like the first winners. I know that Phil keeps in touch with Rob and Brennan. Anyway, we'll talk more about that on another podcast, because we've run for an hour. But I even look at my list now and I'm like, I'm not sure about, maybe it needs it needs more male, it needs more.
We'll just have to do a part 2.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's just so many, as we've proven by talking for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And before we wrap up, though, I'm introducing something called the TARHub Podcast All in Agreement Award. And that award goes to these 4 teams here. All 4 of us picked these teams. These are the only 4 teams that each of us picked for our cast. Very deserving teams, I think. Iconic teams. Great personalities. And so I think this proves they're the sort of cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're on this image, you can go start packing your bags.
Yes.
Yes, because all 4 of us agree. So that means Phil and CBS are going to.
It's a science. It's a science.
Yeah. Well, I'm still waiting for the call to join the executive production team, and thus far the phone hasn't rung. So You never know. You never know.
You never know.
Wow.
Well,
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. That was fun.
Yeah. Very cool. Oh, do you want to know a quote? I have a quote for you guys.
Please.
Do you want to know a quote?
Yeah,
I'm ready.
So the one I picked for this week, Phil said people always ask him the most important thing it takes to take with you on the Amazing Race, or the most important thing to have on the Amazing Race. And he says a sense of humor. If you've got nothing but a sense of humor, you will survive. And I think that we had a lot of teams that we picked that had a lot of fun in the race. And so I think he's right on that. Having a sense of humor and just a fun time is an important thing to take with you on the race.
Yeah, they're the people
That's a
that get
great
the
point.
most out of it, that bring the most home.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Love it.
Cool. Well, we obviously have a sense of humor because we recorded way over our mark. We're over an hour, but I think it was fun. We
I love how when we started, we said, "Oh, we'll try and keep it to around 30 minutes," and then the second episode was like, "Oh, it's about 40, but that's all right. Now we're at an hour." But everybody, I mean, we've got millions of followers, and we're going to be the next.
They're going to sit and watch the whole thing to the very end. I just know it.
Start to finish, yes.
All right. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us here on the TARHub Podcast. Visit the TARHub Discord group to connect with us, thousands of other fans of The Amazing Race, and even your favorite cast members. Find the link in the description below. Travel safe.